Hello, everybody. It's Marcy from wavesofcommunication.com. Welcome to 2021. This year, the theme on our platform is positive action. The information I provide is designed to equip and empower parents and caregivers to take at least one conscious, focused, positive action today toward helping your child shift from nonverbal communication into unprompted spoken language. There's no time like now to make the necessary changes you need to see the success that you want for the late talker in your life. So let's get started.
Welcome everybody to today's spotlight interview video. I'm here with Rebecca Jeffries, who is a parent coach, and she's a special parent coach. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about who she is and the kinds of parents that she is really excited to help.
Yes, so I am a mom of a 21-year-old gentleman who is on the spectrum, and it occurred to me after many years of raising this young man that I had a lot of skills that I could help other people with, that help them avoid mistakes, find resources they might need, and really help them establish more resilience as parents, because parenting the autistic child is exhausting, and it can really take you down that emotional rabbit hole. And I had to learn for myself how to dig out of that and get into a better place, which in turn made our whole household a better place. So those are the people I want to help out. Anyone who's really struggling and wants to be heard and wants to feel supported.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about how you got from mom to coach. Tell me about that transformation.
So I actually am a classical musician by training, and I've done that for majority of my lifetime. And to be honest, I started really young. And when COVID hit, that killed the music industry. And the timing was actually really good for me, because I was looking for something that was not so self-centered. Classical music is a very self-centered career. You're your own product. You have to promote yourself. You have to do all your personal practice time. It's just, I was really worn out from that and not interested in me anymore as the product. So I hired a coach. And I asked him, to help me find a sense of direction. And he just kept listening to my story, and he kept saying, you already know what you can do. And I was like, what are you talking about? I can't do anything but play the flute. And he's like, listen to this great stuff you're telling me about how you're parenting your son and how you've helped other people. That's your task now. That's how you can reach out and help other people and feel rewarded, but at the same time, really be servicing the greater good.
That's great. Well, I'm sure that the whole world is going to be blessed with this opportunity to benefit from your literal on-the-job training from parenting your child. So I know that in my world as coaching, and we talked about this too, I really like to help parents solve problems. There's the biggest problem that I have is that the kids are nonverbal, and that's really where my sort of niche as a coach.
Right.
Talk about it. That's what the problem that I help parents solve. And you and I talked about how you're kind of niching up, and what was the biggest struggle that you kind of had to overcome with your son that turned into the solution that you're offering to parents now?
Oh, well, I think a lot of them will relate to the IEP plan meetings, those individualized education plans. You walk into those rooms and you feel victimized right away. It's you against the special needs department and the administration, and they're going to offer you the very little that they can. And it might not even really be a good match for your kid, and you might have to go to war and battle. And that's kind of what I had to do. And that was a huge struggle for me. It was probably the lowest point ever in my parenting, was ninth grade with my son, and trying to maneuver through that, and trying to find people to help me, trying to keep my emotional well-being healthy. It was a huge challenge. So if I can help people avoid that, I think that would make me really feel good and to help other people resonate and, feel successful as parents and advocates for their kids.
Yeah, well, I definitely think that a lot of parents can relate to that place, that feeling of despair, sort of in the bottom of the bucket with the whole world on top of you kind of thing.
Right.
And, so, all right. And I know, and I also know that working with a coach can really help with that. Can you talk about the tools and strategies that you provide with families, to families that you're working with?
So my main goal is going to be with the parents and helping them first establish for themselves where they're kind of letting themselves down emotionally. They're not doing enough self-support, because that really needs to be there. That's the foundation for your parenting, is keeping yourself in good health. The second place that we would focus would be intuition, and helping you to understand that you know more than you realize. And even though we go into this and we get this diagnosis, my kid has autism, now what? You really do know more about how to care for your child than you think. And I want you to understand how to receive that information and how to apply it, how to allow enough space in your head to receive, because that's a big problem. When you're so close to your child's issues, you can get really caught up in that and not be open to getting the right messages, the right communication from your child, and understanding what their needs really are. Once you start to get that, you'll start to feel a freedom in your parenting and a level of confidence. That's where I want to take them.
Ah, that's great. So freedom and confidence, I think you're right, are the keys to get you out of that hole, right?
Right. Yes.
Where you're feeling in such despair. I think, when you can feel confident, and for me, what I think gives people confidence is real action plan,
Yes.
where there are things that they can do, and when I give them actual things to do. So and that's, always when people ask me, what can I do? What can I do? What can I
Right.
do? What kinds of things would you recommend to a parent? Let's say a parent who's sort of in that middle of that struggle, and they're really in the bottom and they don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
Where would you recommend they start?
So my first piece of advice would be to ask, let's say, for example, your child is having a serious meltdown and you're like, I just can't take another meltdown and I don't know what to do with them this time. I'm just going to keep them safe and pretend it didn't happen. I mean, that's one way to approach it. Just, get through it. But I really want them to think for a second, what is the root cause of this meltdown? That's the number one bullet point that I want them to take from this call, is to really ask that question every time. What is causing this meltdown? It's not going to be what a typical kid might melt down over. Like a typical kid might melt down because you didn't give him the dollar he wanted, or you didn't let him watch the movie. But a kid on the spectrum could be melting down because there's a lump in their sock and they don't know how to tell you that. Or they saw a bird at the feeder and it left and now they're really distressed, but they don't know how to tell you that. So, working with you, Marcy, we'd be a powerhouse in helping parents to find, really what is the root cause. And really the only way to finally get to that answer is to take time and evaluate the situation. I'm not like taking an hour, but give yourself 2 or 3 minutes before you react. So you become proactive versus reactive. You can assess it, really think through it clearly and go, really what could they be trying to tell me?
Yeah.
And even though you might not have the confidence to find the answer, it will come to you. If you are quiet enough to receive it, it will come to you.
That is an amazing tool. And, even people don't think, when they think about, especially when you start talking about connection and mindset and all that stuff, they think you're going to give them some kind of big yoga routine where
Right.
they have to go through meditation and mantra. But, that's what we're laughing about it, because there's a whole movement
Right.
toward sort of meditating autism away and meditating your problems away. But again, what I've seen from parents, and I think even from, your perspective too, is that people want to take action. But when you take conscious action or proactive action, that's when you get results. And one little thing where you could be doing the same old ABA strategy over and over and over and over. And they just keep saying, you got to do it more. You just got to keep doing it.
Right.
And, you know, when you know that just a little tweak would help you. And I think, like you said, because they hear keep doing, just keep doing, just keep
Right.
doing from therapists, they don't realize that the answers are within them.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yes.
they're not with the therapists that are trying to tell you to do stuff that doesn't make sense.
Right.
They're in you. They're in you. And if you just take a moment,
Mm-hmm.
even in the middle of Target when your kid is banging their head on the floor,
Yes.
just a breath, just one breath,
Mm-hmm.
and ask yourself the question, what could possibly be, because you know what could possibly be, and it's
Right.
not the list of standard results, it's only
Right.
the ones that a mom knows about her kid who has bump in their sock issues,
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, fear of securities, or
Right.
or loss of, you know, when things go away they freak out, and you know
Right.
that because you know the patterns of them. And
Right.
I agree, I think the two of us together would be a real powerhouse, because the I believe, and I know you do too, that all behavior is communication, and when you use your intuition to kind of figure out
Mm-hmm.
the message behind the behavior,
Right.
then your reaction is more conscious, because
Yes.
otherwise you think he's being naughty, or he's pushing me, or my buttons are pushed, or whatever,
Right.
all of that. And it's easy to get off that path when you are hurried, when you're reacting,
Right.
and you're not proacting. I
Right.
love that analogy.
Yeah. And your point about you know, your gut feeling, it might be to go to how you were treated as a child to solve a problem. But if you're a typical kid, having a parent just say no and that's it could probably work with you. But with the, you know, the atypical kid, it's really got to be a different approach. It takes some investigation and some deep thinking and some time taking to get to the real answer.
That is a great point, because we do what we were programmed with
Right.
from our parents. Like we parent like we were parented, unless you're in a situation where you had a real bad situation growing up, then always
Mm-hmm.
you know, do something different because it was a bad experience. But if it
Right.
was not so bad, if you just, you know, you were a rule follower anyway, and your parents
Mm-hmm.
were very structured in your life, and you think you can bring that and just sort of expect your child, because you rose to the occasion and learned everything, doesn't mean that your child can. And I think you're right. It's the expectation of it being just like it was when I was a kid.
Right. Right.
And it's not.
It's
you know,
not at all.
it's not. Even if you have a typically developing kid, it's not the same as when
Right.
you were a kid, because now we've got YouTube and, you know, all this other stuff in the
Right.
world. So
Right. And another place I've seen this struggle happen is my own parents. You know, my son is their only grandson, and he wasn't behaving the way they expected their grandson to behave. He wasn't this cute little cuddly boy who just loved them unconditionally. He was a boy with issues and conditions. And, you know, he didn't want to be touched. He didn't want to be hugged. He needed his space. He was short on communication. And my poor parents didn't really know where to go with that. They were, you know, I'm sure they were a little bit heartbroken, but they eventually learned. I mean, they studied me and how I handled him. And fortunately, you know, they had big enough hearts to get on board and support me. And
yeah, I think that's true of most families that I work with. Most, not all, but most, because, you know, it all depends on your relationship with your parents too.
right.
But you know, and then those are things, like I said, that people don't realize as part of their kids with disabilities journey. They think all about the therapies and working on the
Right.
kids and you know, what can I get somebody else to fix this problem?
Yeah.
When I think, you know, the one thing that you said that just keeps resonating with me over and over again is the solution is inside the parents. They
Mhm.
know what to do, but they're afraid that they're going to be judged by their
Yes.
parents or their friends or the other people at
Yes.
Target or who knows what.
Mhm.
And then it stops them from taking conscious action because
Right.
the fear gets in the way, and then they go to the reactive mode and grab the kid and run out of Target and leave their groceries behind. You know what I mean? Because they're embarrassed and scared, and you know what? And that's real. That is real stuff with parents. And when you're stuck in that mode of I don't know how to take conscious action, the unconscious action happens over and over and over, and it builds and it manifests on itself.
Yeah. And to your point of, you know, the embarrassment and all that, I can remember very clearly the feeling of, you know, being with my peers and having to decide between, do I do what will impress my peers or do I do what my son needs? And that's a horrible place to be. You know?
I felt it in my heart right here. It's a horrible place to be. And, you know, because they're your only friends, and you get, you know, we get a lot from our friends. We get a lot. It's all about that encouragement and empowerment and confidence, right? That's what we get. Did I do it right? Am I like her? Am I okay with the world? And you know, I think that a lot of parents struggle with that, wanting to be accepted by their friends and not having a kid like theirs, and they feel jealous, you know, when they see their kids graduating and talking in front and all that. And you know, I think the perspective of a coach who is a mom who went through those gut-wrenching feelings where you plastered that smile on your face to get through the ceremony while your kid was the weird one, your kid was, you know what I mean? And we laugh about it now, but in the moment, it's got to feel just the worst. It's got to feel just the worst. And I think, you know, the one message that I am, and you know, that's what brings people that scary feeling, the bottom of the bucket, the I don't know what to do. That's what triggers people to take action. So even though I like to be positive in all my videos, it's important to call out the fact that we know this stuff is happening, and you don't have to stick it away and hide it and go in the bathroom and cry. You know what I mean? It's important that you have someone in your life that you can work through these things with, so that you don't carry those, you know, someone you trust who isn't going to judge you. And I think that's where a lot of people, if you don't have a friend group where people are like that, you know, if you are feeling like you're constantly in the struggle of my friends versus my mindset or my heart, then it's time to find new friends, but it's hard to leave those friends without a support system. And that's when a coach can really, really help you. Because we're objective, you know, we're empathize, you know, we can understand how you feel, but just to have somebody who's been there and you know, will cry with you when you have that point, because you can't help it, you know, we get those things, and laugh with you when you get those experiences, like, you know, remember when that was and all that stuff, and then celebrate too. Because I think that's it. Sometimes you need somebody to commiserate and whine with, literally, you know, and all the ways that women whine together. But I think that, you know, the whole point of that is you leave those emotions with a plan. And, you know, when you have somebody that you can talk to and work through, you realize the good and you celebrate the gratitude, right?
Yeah, I love that you brought up celebration, because it just like you mentioned earlier, I mean, it can be just heartbreaking to see other people's kids, you know, following the traditional path and succeeding. And you have to find your own things to celebrate, because your kid's going to hit different milestones and they're going to show you different strengths than what you ever anticipated. If you don't celebrate those, then you're just really denying yourself the joy that's there to be enjoyed. So look for those points for celebration, and really important.
Yes, it is. It's not only important for you and your mindset, it's really important for your child, of course, to keep them encouraged and excited and motivated to keep trying, because they're not going to overcome their challenges unless they try. It's harder for them to learn. We have to acknowledge, we have to give them all the help we can to empower them to try their hardest, because, dude, they work hard, don't they?
Yes. Yep. Extra hard.
extra
Yeah.
hard. They do.
Yeah.
And I know that the moms work extra hard to support them, and you would do the work for them. You know, you would
Right.
love to take it away. And I think that's part of
Yes.
why you hold that pain, because you can relate to what you think your kids do. But the other thing that I have found that I've seen with families is that while a parent can be in a really low place, I look at it objectively, their kids are happy. They will sacrifice sleep, food,
Yes.
vanity, everything, love, sex, everything
Right.
for their kids in order for them to be happy. And I think it circles back around to the first thing you said, where it's important to have someone let you know it is okay to be a wreck sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay because there are good things every single day that
Right.
happen. And the fact that you are a wreck and not, gorgeous like these other ladies, it doesn't matter, because
Mm-hmm.
there are super good things in your life.
Right. Right. But I think conversely, taking time for yourself is just as important too. And that's one thing I really want parents to understand, is how refreshing and, empowering for yourself that is, to take that time. Like yesterday, I did a crafting workshop all day long. I don't remember the last time I did that. It's probably been 20 years. And I'm still riding on that wave. It was so much fun. Yeah.
Great. And that's what, if it isn't fun, it isn't fun. And when
Right.
it's fun, you find energy that
Yep.
you didn't have for drudgery. I mean, you can
Right.
it's amazing how you can, be exhausted after 60 hours of ABA at the end of a week. But if you were hiking and on vacation and going from sun up to sundown, exploring the woods and stuff, you would have energy to keep going into the night. It's just all about when you know what you're doing is taking you in the right direction,
Yeah.
you're happy to keep doing it. It's
Right.
when you're doing the same old, and you're on a mill, some kind of grind, or
Mm-hmm.
some kind of whatever, that you end up going lower and lower, I think. So keeping
Yep.
things new and trying things up and taking care of yourself and honoring your kids' feelings,
Mm-hmm.
obviously those are all things that we would look at, that in helping a family,
Right.
identify where all those things are and find ways to make them better. Excellent.
Right.
Tell everybody how they can start following you and learning from you and work with you.
Sure. Yeah. So I have a website called sproutinghealthyfamilies.com. And within the website, you can always visit my blog. And I do a different subject in each blog, such as setting boundaries, exploring alternative schools. I hit on a number of subjects. I also have a podcast called The Caretakers, and this is a fairly new show. So far I've been interviewing other people, but you're going to hear a lot more from me talking about what I have to offer to families. So that can be found on Apple. And I also have a Facebook group called Sprouting Healthy Families. And that's just a really nice, positive vibe community, healers and practitioners and teachers and parents and anyone who just needs a nice, warm place to hang out. Everyone's welcome there.
That's great. Yep, my group does the same. I like having that going. An opportunity to just have parents see ideas and positive mindset and, share their concerns and get strategies they can use to help them move forward. And that's
Yes.
what I think. I love resources. That's the whole reason that I wanted to have you on my podcast and my show, so that I could share this resource with other people, because it doesn't only have to be professionals with degrees and all of that stuff. In fact,
Right.
if you've been struggling with the system and wherever you are right now, perhaps another mom who has already struggled with the system could be a better resource for you.
Right.
Definitely head over to Sprouting Healthy Families. I love the logo's big roots, because she finds the root of the problem, and so do I. We're definitely like-minded gals, and I expect to see some cross-sharing across our platform moving forward as we
For sure.
both help equip and empower families to be successful. And I love playing well with others, so I wanted to share all of your resources too. So thanks so much for joining me, and I will be seeing you around.
Thank you you, Marcy. It's been great.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in today. I hope this content has inspired you to create your own positive language facilitation action plan for this week. If you enjoyed this broadcast, you're in luck. There are tons of resources across our Waves of Communication platform, all designed to help you teach your child to talk. There are more than 350 free videos on our YouTube channel, a daily blog on Facebook with opportunities for live Q&A, my book, If It Isn't Fun, It Isn't Fun, available on Amazon, and my coaching programs, including a free 90-minute introductory class. Learn about everything we do for language facilitators on our website, wavesofcommunication.com. If you benefited today, please consider subscribing to the channel and sharing the resource with others. This little exchange is free for you and really helps us grow the platform to reach more parents and caregivers around the world. I'll be back next week with more information and strategies to help you continue on your language facilitation journey. This is Marcy Melzer, intuitive speech and language pathologist, saying bye for now.